Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Camppatton Family Compound. It is time for Friday night on the Homestead, and tonight's topic is organic fertilizers. And how's everybody doing out there? Let's hop over to the comments and say hi to everybody. There it goes. Computer's acting a little slow. If you weren't watching last night's live on Gray Man Prepping for the Midnight Ride, I am in California. Not at the house there for a week, and I only have my laptop. So things act up a little bit, and it's not as smooth. I don't have a green screen down here. I got a green wall back there, but it's the wrong color green to make it green screen work. And it's not big enough. Anyways, so first one in was, it's the Marshmallow Man. That's Lewis. And then Howie at Food Forest Permaculture. Sumi came in. Then Mother's Garden Club. Then Glenn at How to Garden. Tammy, the Rebel Canner herself. And... Let's keep up everybody. Suzanne Galley is here. Tammy Harder is here. The Luna Preppers come in. And I'm caught up here. Yeah, I've seen that affect several people. Where they're talking, the cat just walks across the keyboard, types in gibberish. Okay. So the link should be pinned to the top of the chat. So yeah, do that. Interesting thing tonight on it. I put all the simple fertilizers in for the PowerPoint here, and I started getting more. And I was talking to the staff sergeant at her work, and she goes, "Oh, what about this and this?" On this. So I'm just typing away, adding more stuff to it. And then just a few minutes ago, I think, oh man, there's something else that we might need to talk about later on tonight after it. So hopefully I can get into it here and remember it when we get going here. So with that, let's since nobody else has decided they want to come up here. So organic fertilizers. And so you say organic fertilizers, the first thing that comes to people's mind, ooh, steer manure or cow poo. And then comes a few others. So let's get on here. So I came up with several here. And yes, they're kind of color-coded in groups. And we're going to talk about those, about the groups in particular here as well. I'm going to try to keep an eye on the side chat right here. Here comes Tammy.
Hello.
Hello. So the first thing, one of the first, I said, the first thing people think I always thought about was cow poo because we had cows and that's what we used. And then, we had chickens and we used that, but we didn't use that right away. That usually went to the big, huge monster compost pile, and with all of the scraps and everything else. And here comes Lewis.
Hey.
Lewis. And we just toss everything in with the chicken manure. We just toss it in there, and it usually would sit till the next spring. And occasionally, my sister, she had pigeons, and she'd clean out the pigeon shed, which is decent sized room, and clean it out, and that would go in there too. And yeah, but so chicken, turkey, pigeon, and other type of fowl that you might be raising and getting getting poo from is a hot fertilizer. And when I was looking up, what are the hot fertilizers, what are the cold fertilizers? Man, I mean, some of these experts, there was one that was I've been a master gardener for blah, 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 and rabbit and rabbit and goat are very hot. And it's like, oh man, the comment she got nailed on her. Yes, they are hot. No, they are not hot. Hot is when you put it on there, it's going to kill the plant from the, and so because it's a active, hot, yeah. Anyways, so you got to be careful when you look online. You got to take what you're reading nowadays with a grain of salt. People can publish themselves really easy, and they're wrong.
Yeah.
And Mad Chick Acres is here, and he came in on your side, Tammy.
Hey, Mark.
Okay, so those are your primary hot ones. Now we had horses, and we never thought about putting the horse manure on the garden per se, but we did have a place where the horses usually poop in the same spot time after time, and they had like 3 spots around there. We'd scrape it all up, put it in one, and then we put it off outside the arena in the corner of the property, and we never used it. And so we were there for 6 years, and it sat out there for years and years and years. And it would sprout alfalfa, and it'd die off and not do much and everything. Well, several years after we moved away, my grandmother was still there on the property, still had horses, and a friend of my dad's had horses, and he'd bring him. He had his horses. He was leasing the corral since my dad was no longer there from my grandmother, and so all the poo was still getting piled in this corner of the property. Well, his dad had a tractor came over, and the pile was getting kind of unhandly there. So, without asking my grandmother, he went and scooped it up and piled it out in the garden area. Well, no, don't get shocked. This is a surprise. Well, he scooped the newest stuff off first and put it down first in an area that nothing was growing in. And then he scooped up the other stuff. And by the time he got down to the bottom, it was all worms.
Yeah.
And there was nothing growing in it because it had cotton, over the years, had cooked off all the seeds. Now, remember, I said years. So It wasn't really quick. It was years of cooking. And so it cooked off all stuff, and the stuff that was newer was on the bottom. So guess what was happening to it? It was now at the bottom of the pile, and it started cooking off. And my grandmother got home, and she was like, and he goes, wait, come look. And he showed her the handfuls of worms, and she goes, I thought we couldn't do that because of all the alfalfa seed. Well, that's on the bottom now. This is the stuff that was on the bottom before, and that area, the next year, she had my cousin, Jay, James Quentin Lodenslager Jr., who was 6'4" and 200 and muscles, built an arbor down there and planted a fig tree next to it. And that fig tree went hog wild, and the arbor had grapes going up on it and stuff. And it was just absolutely phenomenal because as it rained and stuff, it just leached out all around it. But it took years for that stuff to decompose. So that goes along with horse, mules, and donkeys. Those need to go a long time. Well, later, once we found out about that, when we moved back there in 75, we take the horse manure, the chicken manure, mix it together, and by then my mom had a lot of chickens, and so we had a lot of chicken manure, and that cooked off the horse and mule manure in about 9 months. So the temperatures in there was hot. And then we also tossed in on top of it at the time, I believe at the time in 75 that it was it Tide laundry detergent that had the highest amount of phosphates in it. And people are going to go, oh, that's not organic. Well, phosphates break down and are highly fertilizing, but this is what we did with it, and it just added to it, cooked it off, and just did stuff to it. But that's one of the things we do back in the 70s. Okay, folks, this is back in the 70s.
See, I would put a lot of lime down on my horse stalls. So when I would take out the horse manure and the straw and the sawdust shavings and pile them, it would compost within about a year. But it's because it had so much lime on it.
Yeah.
powder lime.
And then what's neat thing about the lime is, depending on your other soil, if you have a lot of dandelions, it generally means that the soil is low in calcium,
Mm-hmm.
and the lime is calcium, so you're balancing out the soil.
And the lime really takes down the stench.
Yeah.
So.
Tibor is in the house, and Little Lone Prepper said wood ash is a good fertilizer.
Yes.
I would call it more of a supplement to the fertilizers.
Well, it kind of depends. I
Egg
mean,
cells.
you can also do you can make wood into biochar.
Yeah,
So if you have some good big pieces in that wood ash, like out of your campfire and stuff, where you have some biochar, and you spread that with the ash, it's
Yeah. And okay, we're going to deviate right here since it's in my mind. Chris was reading an article. She lost the link to it, and she was trying to find it at work when because they updated an update to the whole system, and half the time they're sitting there going, okay, give us something to do. Can we go and we can go test. And they work on, okay, that's the problem. And they sit there waiting to get stuff done and IT to get things fixed on it. But she was telling me that there's this article from one of the university extension services talking about the difference between, I want to get the word right here, wood product that you can buy in a bag and bark product. Wood product can be bark, branches, sawdust, shavings, chips, all parts of the tree, grindings from the grind nuts. Okay. Whereas if you got the bark, it's bark only, and evidently bark only because it's out in the sun and exposed to the air, and the air is 21% nitrogen or something like that. It's the bark itself is full of nitrogen already.
Ooh.
So when it starts to break down, it's net zero on drawing nitrogen out of the soil because it has enough nitrogen in it to break down. So that's what's going on that. But one of the other things to do on it, it has the same net zero that core, the coconut husk stuff or whatever,
coconut core,
and peat moss is net zero as well.
Oh.
So, and if you know how peat moss is formed, it is, it basically kind of, all the wood biomass, including leaves and everything else, being compacted and stuff and exposed and breaking down over thousands of years, about at least 1,000 years to make peat moss. So, let's see what else here we got here on here. Keelan says, we got sycamores on the property. Can I add that bark after it falls off of the tree to my compost? Yes, you can. And the more you can break it up, the faster it is going to decompose as well. Now, what else do we got here? Okay, so back to the list here now. Hey, Bushcrest family, how's it going? All right, so my son just came in and started his laundry, so that's the noise in the background is. All right, so you got, so we talked about horse, mule, and donkey, pigeons, okay, yeah, cow and buffalo. Now, most people aren't going to get a hold of buffalo. You're not going to get, most people aren't going to get a hold of buffalo, but cow you can get all around. The thing the things you got to worry about with the cow is what they are being fed. If they're being fed alfalfa or hay and stuff from fields where the farmer is spraying Grazon to keep the other weeds out, wants just pure alfalfa for his alfalfa, and he sells that to the beef guys that's making raising beef cows and stuff, or sells it to a dairy cow. And most dairy farmers now are are getting on board of not wanting to use Grazon sprayed alfalfa or hay because they know the problems of it showing up in the milk now. So basically, the problem with that manure there, if you get it from if they, some company, gets it from the stockyards and stuff, and it's contaminated, but they bag it up and they don't test for it. Hey, it's steer manure. We're not bagging. We're not testing it. We're just bagging it, pure steer manure, and it's got Grazon in it. That's going to cause problems for your garden. In Idaho, we got the dairy farm down the street, the Likes Dairy Farm, and they are big on anti-Grazon, glyphosate, and that stuff. So so more of the farmers around we're finding it hard to sell their alfalfa, and because more people find out. Wait a minute, these farmers are buying up our supply of good stuff. Why? And they found out, because it doesn't use that. So more farmers are having to go to the Grazon free and glyphosate free farming methods, so their alfalfa is cleaner. And so I can go over there and I can get have them bring the truck over and dump off a load of the Grazon and glyphosate free manure for me to add to mine. And there are some you got to check with some companies and check the reviews on it, because I know there are organizations out there, whether it's the county, I forget what it's called, or the local university extension office, or the local dairy farm or local cattle farmers association, whatever, that are testing the alfalfas now to make sure they are Grazon and glyphosate free.
That's really good, because I don't want that in my food chain, and I don't want the damage it does to a garden. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the first couple of years I was using a brand. I'm not going to name the brand. I had absolutely fabulous results with it, because it was a quote local. It was called dairy cowgirl compost. And sorry, I named it, but basically they were getting stuff from dairies. Well, found out most of the dairies they were getting from was back by Boise, not out where I'm at. And the last time I put some stuff down on it, the strawberry struggled, the tomatoes struggled. The only thing that, and for the most part, the lettuce didn't struggle, but lettuce is a grass, so
yeah.
But yeah, so that may be one of the problems with that one. So I didn't get any this last year on it, but Rick's here. Hey, Rick.
Our local city here used to pile up all the leaves and used to be able to go in and get composted leaf mulch. And that leaf mulch was wonderful. You could put it on your garden. It was wonderful. There was nothing in it. Well, now so many people are spraying their lawns, their grass clippings, and mixing that in, that I went and got some of that in buckets and tried to grow stuff in it. Nothing would grow in it.
Yeah.
Because of the glyphosate. Yeah.
Yeah. Glyphosate. Yeah. Glyphosate.
Yeah.
So, all right. Now, Howie just fired up the other type of organic, all the waste type stuff.
Yeah.
So, and we're going to get into that too. So, with the list I have up here, so cow and buffalo, because those are, okay, I just forgot the word. It means they got 4 stomachs. Shoot. Begins with
ruminates.
Yeah.
Ruminants.
Something like that, yeah. So they basically they chew up the alfalfa, they re-chew up the alfalfa, they re-chew up the alfalfa, chewing their cud. Unlike where horses, donkeys, and mules have one stomach, and they chew it up, get out what they can, they poop it out, so they just keep on eating. Ruminants, there we go. Thank you, Kaylin. All right. Now the next one, so cow and buffalo chips are, poops are considered to be warm to very warm to hot, depending what they've been eating. So sometimes you have to let that sit for 6 months or longer to use it. Now, rabbit, sheep, alpaca, llama, goats. And worm casting is supposed to be up there. Worm casting is supposed to be on its own little thing, but I didn't have room. Deer, antelope, elk have multiple, other than the rabbits, but the sheep and everybody else, all the others have 4 stomachs as well. Unlike cows, though, deer and goats and llamas and alpaca will eat bushes, whereas sheep don't. So rabbits and sheep, go after stuff, and so all of those poops are nuggets, little pellets, and the pellets are considered a cold fertilizer. So you can go out there and you can dig underneath the rabbit cage, whatever, and put on. However, rabbit urine is hot.
Yes.
So you got to make sure you're able to separate it a little bit and have it where the hardware cloth at an angle under the cage, so the poop hits it, bounces down, and the pee goes straight through. So now worm casting fits in well with what Howie was saying about bearing, or all your organic stuff and putting in there, and the worms go in there. Now there is a company out there, and they've been copied by a lot of others. They were buying horse manure and cow manure and mixing it up and putting it out on these special conveyors systems and just stacking it up a little bit thick, and they're loaded with worms. And the worms they started up with shallow, and the worms that eat everything up there, and they put more on top of it. And once they got a certain amount, the worms had been working their way up and leaving worm castings. And then the conveyor belt goes, and everything drops down again with the worms in it. The worms start eating their way back, and they add stuff on top of it. So they're making worm castings. Yeah. Basically. Well, they also with their worm castings, sometimes you open the bag and you got worms in there. Cool.
Bonus points.
Bonus points. So the worm castings, are very, very good, but they're also harder to get until you build something and you run it in a format where they eat their way through it, and you pull what they eat out, and you do. I've seen people that have done that with the. They've made like a little hand crank thing on a box, of slightly funneled box with the stuff in it, and every month or so they give it a crank, and they take off an inch or so off the bottom of the worm castings. They collect that, and of course they're in a warmer temperature than we are, Tammy. And they run their thing. They're able to run it year round without killing the worms in. Of course, it is producing heat and breaking down and everything. But that's worm castings. If you can figure out a way to do it in your area and to grow the worms, make sure you're getting into proper worms and not the jumping worms. And those are the ones that. Anyways. I did a live on that last year, or it was the year before, about the jumping worms and how bad they are, because they came from Asia. All right, fish and seaweed.
So I have a story about fish.
Okay, go ahead.
When I was little, my dad was a very avid fisherman. And so he would always take the the offal from the fish, the heads, the spines, the scales, the fins, anything that we didn't eat off the fish. And he saved that in a, and it was nasty smelling, but like the fish fertilizer that you buy in the store. But he would save that in a bucket, and every time he planted a fruit tree, he'd dig a hole twice as deep as what he needed. He would pour that in the bottom, cover it up with some dirt, put that fruit tree on top. Or if he wasn't planning on doing any fruit trees anytime soon, then he would dig a hole next to the root system of an existing fruit tree, and he would bury that out there. And his fruit trees were always amazing.
Yeah,
Always took off. Never had a problem with his fruit trees dying.
yeah,
High producers. But we always saved all of the extra fish parts that we didn't eat for
yeah.
fertilizer.
All right, I want to jump in on so yes, I know you can grow worms, but you can't grow it above ground like they do down in the southern, in the mid belt and down south, where it does, they don't get as the freezes like we do. My IBC totes, I've been changing out and mixing stuff in and digging the soil out of it, putting more compost in and mixing it back in, adding more to it, mixing it with all the new wood chips and stuff. I actually found some worms that survived last year and this spring, the winter, but they were in one of the one that was on, and they were on the side that was up against the where it had raised the garden bed that was raised up as soil. They were acting as the retaining wall for it. So, but I only found 4 worms in there.
Yeah.
But
we always kept a cooler, a styrofoam cooler, and it had like this special little like a strainer on the top. And my dad kept that in the basement, and we kept fishing worms in the basement year round.
yeah. Let's see here. All right, so go back here to there we go. So seaweed, interesting thing. The first couple of IBC totes I bought was here in California. Bought it down at the Ace Hardware down here when they're having the water shortage. And I'm not sure how loud that wash machine is for you guys. Let me know. Right now it's doing the spin cycle on it. They were buying these from the farmers out in Brentwood, still in the same county, but out on the other side of Mount Diablo, and where they had a bunch of farmers going out there in Brentwood still, and a lot of the fruit, the cherry trees out there, and some other tree orchards out there and stuff. And they were full. They had seaweed fertilizer in them, and they had washed them out. Well, we got one that they hadn't washed out, and there was about that much of seaweed slime in the bottom of it.
Ooh.
That stuff was like chicken poop. It was hot. So I took the garden hose, I blocked the toad up, took the garden hose on top, and broke it up and filled up several 5-gallon buckets full of that stuff several times. And we would dribble it around the front garden area and the back garden area, just dribble it around in a way that it never got too close to the roots of the plants. But oh yeah, some of those plants just absolutely loved it and growed once their roots got to it, because it was so hot. Sometimes it burned those roots, and you can tell they were sending roots out, up, burnt off, sending roots out, up, burnt. Okay, and then also the roots just took off in it.
Yeah, it's something like a cap full to a gallon of water.
Yeah,
it doesn't take much.
And yeah. Now, the next thing I got on here is bat guano, which is expensive to get. It's very good. However, bat guano has a warning on it. And that warning is wear a respirator.
Yeah.
Because the dust from it is very nasty.
Okay, I have a fun fact for you.
Okay.
I went caving in Bermuda. Fun fact, they do not have bats in Bermuda.
Okay.
They also don't have mosquitoes, but that's beside the fact.
Well, that's probably why they don't have bats. The mosquitoes, there are no mosquitoes for the bats to eat.
But you can crawl around in caves there, and they're clean. I mean, it's like crawling around on the dirt here. It's not like where you go to some of those places and go cave exploring and you're knee deep in guano. There's nothing. It's like perfectly clean in the caves, like beautiful dirt floor. Okay, sorry, but that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. You said, Tammy says, Tammy Harder says, I have thought about setting up a compost outside, but I'm worried about critters. We've had several different systems out here. The critters have never gotten into either of the systems we got. One was a ball one we got at Costco years and years and years ago, and they can't get into it because it's got a locking lid on each side. So if you turn it over, it's like, oh, yeah, we'll go up to this side, dump stuff in it, spin this. The ball's about three foot around, and it's up on a stand up with wheels on it. So you just kind of spin the ball on those wheels, and it works. The other one is some stacking plastic ones, and they've never gone in. Around here we've seen raccoons, we've seen possums. They've never gotten into that. So it depends on how.
I have one of those, but like Howie said, I really like the trench method. So wherever I want my garden row to be next year, I dig a trench, and as I'm going along, I dump my household waste in there, and then I just cover it over with the dirt, and I just keep going, and then I plant right next to that trench that next year, so that the root system has that compost right there, and I've never had a problem with animals getting into that.
Lost Lewis.
There goes the Lou man.
Yeah. Now the last line here is very controversial, and here in America, it's all, oh, don't do it at all. You go to Europe, and you go to Africa, and you go to South America, and you go to Asia. They take the poo and they put it out in the garden, not where they're going to plant, like you said, next to it. They bury it in the trench line, and they plant next to it. Yeah. The following spring.
If you have a compost toilet, there's books about how to do it, but it's basically you compost it in a bucket for a year, human waste.
Yeah.
And then it's safe. That kills all of the pathogens in it. Dog and cat, there's things that can survive. Cats have trichinosis.
Yeah.
Not trichinosis. What is it? Oh,
Howie's joining us. Yeah.
Oh, there. Now we have an expert in the house. I will do that.
Now, and that's the thing is with pig poo around here. The farmers around here say, Howie dropped off for a second. With the pig poo, they say you don't use it for you put out in a field where you can till it in and break it up and dilute it. And he's coming back. He's back. And so with human and pig, other than the stuck ones that are prim and proper, we can't use that for in our gardens. That's lost Lewis again. They go that using human manure. That's savage. That's a barbaric. But the problem with cats and dogs, they eat a lot of things that pigs and humans don't, and they have different things. But there was one other thing. What was it? With the bat guano. The bat guano The other concern with it is it has a lot of nematodes. Now, some nematodes are good, some nematodes are bad in the garden, and especially for root crops like carrots, potatoes, radishes, and stuff like that. You get funky growths on the roots you want to harvest because of nematode, a specific type of nematode. Yeah, so that's one of the things that I was watching some videos on it, and the guys that said this is what happens sometimes when I get this one type of nematodes in there. I got to add some other things to it to get rid of those particular nematodes, so the carrots aren't. I mean, the carrots sort of looked like they were irradiated because of all this funky stuff growing on them. And he goes, yeah, once you take care of that, he gave natural things to counteract those particular ones. So we've covered everything on my list here. There, now we come down. And somebody's checking here. Liberty Garden is here. Good evening, Liberty Garden. And just making sure I didn't catch back up on some of the chat here. One of the things that right now, there's something else for the compost as fertilizer. There are two schools of thought. One school of thought is vegetables only. The other school is out in the wild, you get mice dying in the top stuff. You get bugs dying, you get everything, and they break down. The other little bugs will eat them. The centipedes will come in there and eat them, and the beetles will eat them, break them down, and they die, and the other ones come in to eat them and break them down. And so the ones that are saying don't put any of your meat trimmings or anything else in your compost pile, others are saying put it in there, put it down in, and don't use it immediately. Let it do its full year cycle on it and turn into good soil. I saw Howie shaking his head. Yes.
Can I show you something? Can I have the big screen?
Sure. There you go.
Right there you go.
Yep.
There you go. Soil's made in layers right there. See that? Yep. Each layer should be 3 to 5 inches deep. It's important to sprinkle dolomites, lime, wood ash, and biochar, chop and drop, wood chips, coffee grounds, yard waste, bark mulch, leaves and twigs, kitchen waste. The list is really endless. The farmer's market, the grocery store, it's all made in layers. This is the trench. If there is no water, this is made in a trench. If there is water, this is made on top of the water. There's only two ways that's made. But this, in 1 year, I have 3 to 5 feet of rich black humus on my food forest. I could just... it just accumulates. It's a little regimen you change every day. Like coffee grounds are free. Yeah. People will bring you the kitchen waste, like instead of them using their green bin, because that's like a couple of $100 a year taken off your tax bill, hey? Yeah. So they bring it to you, and like Tammy, she has her trench there. Obviously, there's no water there, but if you do have water, you build this on top of
a mound.
Yeah, well, a mound, you build it on the ground. Just start building it. That's what this is a Mayan technique. This is what the Mayans did, except they scraped water lettuce off the canal and put it on top of the berm, you see. So this is just replacing the water lettuce. This is all free in your environment.
Yep.
Any questions?
I don't see any questions popping up there, Howie.
That's it. I'm out.
Yeah, one of the things to consider too when doing that, minerals. Sometimes you need to bring minerals in, and like Epsom salts. It's not a salt. It's not a salt.
Yeah.
It's that's like it's a salt like bath salts. It's so Epsom salt has the begins with a P. Not potassium, phosphorus, and stuff. Some desired minerals in it. Gypsum has calcium in it.
Asbestos too.
Well, it depends. It depends on what I'm not talking commercial. I'm talking about naturally stuff. There's
Some people don't know the difference, though.
Yeah, true. Yeah, the drywall you get, from years back, you don't want to use.
There's a beach everything bad happens on the Flint side of Michigan. On the on the east side of Michigan, there is we talked the other night about coal coming on the beach, but there's actually large gypsum deposits, and you can actually walk along the beach on Lake Huron and pick up raw gypsum rock.
Food that goes bad at the store, okay, like a box of bananas that turn black, that's right full of like minerals. It's loaded. You bury that into the soil, you're gonna have some really nice soil. The fishmonger down the road, if you've got a lot of bones from a butcher, you just burn them. It's bone biochar, then bone char. And the list is really endless. Anything that's organic, not necessarily organic, like, grown organic, but if it's like organic, like a human's organic, a dog's organic, but I mean, is there no pesticide, herbicides, or toxins? So like what you're saying there, Tammy, about earlier there about the paraquat and Roundup in the soil, that you buy a bag of soil, you're screwed. Nothing's gonna grow in it. Nothing broadleafed anyway.
Yeah.
But soil's made in layers, 1 inch every 10 years in nature in the forest, 1 or 2 millimeters in the desert every 10 years. So it's something to do. Like if you can make 3 to 5 feet a year at your place, that's what I did here. You can plant anything in that. And then when it dies back in the fall, you just dig out a trench and you empty it onto the forest floor, and then you plant it again for your fall and winter crop. You don't want to do work like that. I don't do a lot of work. Like I do chop and drop, and I add my wood ash to my biochar. I put it in my wheelbarrow, and then I soak it with water, and then all the little holes through the biochar soaks up all the minerals, and then that's biochar is also the home for microbes. Same with leaves. And people are really hung up. Well, don't you want to shred your leaves? No, I don't. I never have, and I never had a problem. It's condos for microbes. If your soil dries out during the summertime, the microbes are reduced by 99.9% because there's no moisture. They need moisture during warm period. During cold period, the microbes are inactive. Microbes make toxins, most toxins too, inert. Okay. Yeah. It's just the way it is in nature. There's a lot of different types of microbes. In one scoop of microbes in a soup ladle, there's more microbes in that than people on the planet. Eh? So you want to keep them alive. So what happens is microbes, they deteriorate your organic matter. They break it down to really small pieces, like really tiny pieces, like microscopic, really. Yeah. And that's what you want. Everything has to be in layers of green, brown. There's so many biomass, so much biomass to go and get, like from seaweed to rabbit poo to bird poop, whatever. The baker down the road that throws out all his bread. The farmer's market down the road that throws away the produce at the end of the day that didn't sell on the discount rack. That's all soil. The beer making plant for the old hops, and the list is really endless for making soil. The big thing is you'd want at least a foot to a foot and a half of soil, and then you can grow anything. I went overboard for 3 to 5 feet because I export to other properties and make a food forest. And I put a layer there for them and showed them how to make the layers. You can organize all the people in your street or your village or whatever, wherever you are, to bring you their kitchen waste. That brings them they bring their lawn clippings, their chop and drop, and you just teach them. They're like mice, eh? You teach them to put it in the pathway and just build another pathway, and they do it for you. It's like if you got a big property, all the wood chips that they can be bringing you and lawn clippings, but the big thing is farmers' waste too, as long as it's clean. And like old moldy hay bale that's not going to be used, that's for you. That's for you. And don't worry about something making seeds. That don't mean nothing, because when you empty your pathway soil bank, it's just going right on top of whatever's growing there. It's going, and then you're planting it. See, recently I put up some videos. All I did is I threw potatoes down. I threw my pathway soil bank soil on that. Then I threw down, 500 garlic cloves. I threw all the soil on that. And then I took all my seeds and put them in a bowl, all my cool weather crop seeds, and then I just spread it around. Now I have this emerald green carpet all through the forest floor. And I didn't do anything. I didn't water it. I didn't do anything. You use the time of the year, the season, and you'll make out really good. Now, there's nothing wrong with watering either. Hey, don't get me wrong. But you want to use it where you use nature to your advantage, right? That's key. And once you see the easiness of it, and it's and how you can, in your ecosystem that people bring everything to you, eventually you're going to, after about 3 years, if you're on a city lot, it takes about 3 years. Sometimes not. Depends on how much you're liked and how much skill you have at coordinating people in your village, right? It's others that are going to do the work for you is best, right? Yeah.
Well, before I forget here. All right, Shady Hill Homestead came in. What is it? Aussie Life came in, and then Helena M came in on your side there, Tammy.
Howie, you'd have been so proud of me. Last summer, I heard this noise, this truck coming down my dirt road. I walked out to the edge of the road and I looked and I saw it was a big truck, a tree trimming truck. And I walked right out in the middle of the road and put my hand up and made him stop. And I'm like, dump right here. He's like, really? I'm like, yes, please put him right here. And he brought me 4 full truckloads.
Hey, there's some rules to that. There's some rules. There's some very important rules, like those. I think it was Lombardy poplar that you had cut down, Gil.
No, that's what I planted on the front side of the house.
And
the other
one was
cottonwood trees. Cottonwood.
Okay, cottonwood, same thing. Pretty much. It's all pretty much the same thing. You want deciduous trees chipped, and the leaves like maple leaf, alder. If you're going to use conifers like cedar, fir, Douglas fir, or spruce or something like that, it has to be left for a year and limed. Now, depending if you're going to be putting it on like blueberries or something like that, they really like acidic things. And the big thing is when you get a hot load, you can't go and put it right up to the trunk of a tree. Where the drip line is where the roots have gone, the lateral growing ones have gone out as far as the drip line and further, depending if they're water seekers like a cherry. Now you can go right up to the leaf drip line, but you can't go any further. But that's the lateral one. Now the taproot one, which are like peaches and avocado and fig, there's very few that are taproot, but they're there. And them ones you can pretty much go right up past the drip line. But remember, only deciduous, and there's a big one called evergreen, like Portuguese laurel or a walnut, black walnut. These things will kill anything, and it doesn't matter if it's 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. So you gotta understand that leaves, the leaves in the fall are for you to make soil, and make it 2 or 3 feet all around wherever you're growing food. That'll all go down to 1 inch by spring.
Yeah. Well, all right. What I've been doing before I bugged out here to California for a week, I've been taking my little Coyote tractor and just hours on end, just moving the stuff around. Now, around all the trees, the 10 trees that I just planted this year, So their roots haven't gone out. The roots are going down and out a little bit, but I have the tops that IBC totes put out there just to block weeds. So I'm just going up to the edge of those. So that keeps it out another foot from the edge of the of the hole where the plants were, the trees were planted. But I've been putting that on 4 to 6 inches thick. The pumpkins and the butternut squash have gone wild since I started tossing the wood chips around it. Now, when they took it running the chips, they were taking the branches, leaves, everything was going in. That wasn't becoming a firewood. It was going into that wood chipper. Now, on this where I haven't planted yet, where I'm still working it, I took the tractor, moved a bunch of dirt around, leveled it out, and I put that stuff on there over a foot thick. So this winter, when the snow gets on it and the moisture stuff, it's going to be composting stuff and it's going to be weighing it down. Now, in 1 week from when they dumped the first load out of the truck after they ran the chipper, they backed it up and they dumped it, I dug in there with the tractor and the greenery had turned blackish gray.
Yeah, you be careful.
And it's hot.
Wear a mask. Wear a mask, man.
Yeah,
that's a lot of mold.
Well, no, it wasn't mold. It wasn't mold.
You just don't see it. It's mold. Once it turns black like that, that's mold.
Well, what it's doing is it was so hot.
Yeah.
It was burning the leaves.
Yeah.
And there was some steam. There was some steam coming off. Of course, the way the wind blows here is always blowing away from it. I dug in there and I moved some of it around and stuff. And there was just, it was just like it was mainly sort of like
it would get hot. It would.
It was like the color of the keyboard here. The dark gray.
Hit it with the hose so don't catch fire, hey?
Oh yeah, I got the sprinklers going on it, and when I got it all around the trees and around the pumpkins and the squash, and I turned the sprinklers on and stuff. By the third day, I went out there, I dug down in. The soil was staying damp, and with the soil staying damp, all those roots started going all around for areas beyond where I was watering before because I wasn't trying to water the weeds, and now that's just going absolutely nuts there.
Tammy.
But next spring, I can go out there with the potato fork and just turn the soil over, and hopefully not damage any of the worms. Turn chunks over and stuff, and then put another couple inches on top of it. But the wood service company is, they said if I had a dump trailer, I could go over their place, their 12 acres they have over here, and they got piles of stuff that's several years old.
Yeah, the town where you are, I forget the name of the town.
Basalt.
Right. I should have thought.
Yeah.
Anyway, most towns, or all towns, they have a vegetation department, okay? So at the vegetation department, generally, as a rule, they have a book where their next load of leaves or wood chips go for free. And when they collect the leaves this fall, they'll stop right at your place and dump for you for free. And that, you got your little tractor there. I think you have a Kubota?
Coyote.
Thank you. I know a lot of people with tractors, from Cubs to Masts. So anyway, the big thing is every person, every county, every municipality, every township has a vegetation department. They have to. And when it comes to leaves and even, this might sound a little silly, but dump a little extra snow at your place. It's full of nitrogen, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything they give out for free, like the wood chips, when they do the wood chipping or the leaves, just leave it for a year. And then I know a 29-acre organic farm about 3 kilometers from me. I've been working with him for like 25 years. And all he ever does is he gets the town to deliver leaves and just keep them coming. And that's all he does, is he goes up and down and spreads it on the rows. And that's it. And he doesn't do anything else. Oh, he makes biochar and wood ash, but that's it. And he feeds between 3,000 and 5,000 people a month at his tiny little roadside stand. And he's all by himself. And I went over there quite a few years ago, and I said he was struggling in the winter time, and I had to show him, a few things to do, and I upped his income by 33% just from an outsider come in and show him, look, you have to have more greenhouses, hoop houses. You have to plant winter crops, And now he I don't pay for most anything. I go there, he loads me up. When I got out of the hospital, there was hundreds of dollars of organic food in my driveway in boxes.
But one of the things here in my town, though, they don't collect any organics at all because everybody puts it back in their garden already.
Yeah, Liberty Garden's right there.
Yeah,
he's right there. You see those brown bags? Just take that brown bag right full of leaves.
They don't even here. They don't even put them out. That's and people are just piling there, they got their own compost pile, and those that don't have their own compost pile are giving their neighbors, their immediate next door neighbor is coming over and cleaning the leaves off their yard and taking them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the town's got a truck that goes along. It's got a big vacuum and they suck it all up on the roadside or the ditch.
Yeah. Yeah. Bigger towns. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even small towns have one.
Well, yeah.
Not where you are?
No, not here in Idaho. Small towns. No.
Must be under 1,000 people there.
Lucky they have a tractor, a backhoe tractor with a detachable backhoe to pull the snowplow around.
Yeah. Right now it's harvest season, so get out and forage and look for those wild fruit trees. And where there is old villages, look up where there used to be an old village. If the village isn't there, that's fine, but I guarantee you there'll be fruit trees there. And that's what I do a lot of right now. And I donate it to a mobile food bank that comes and picks up a lot. And then today I made fig jam. And a few days ago I made blueberry and peach jam. And I didn't pay for any of that. I foraged it. Yeah. It was fun making the fig jam. I never made it before. I didn't know if I had to put citric acid into the fig jam. I didn't know if I did or not. I never made it. I couldn't find it. I'm like, well, the hell with it. I'm going to squeeze some lemons into it. So I did that, and I threw in a few packs of Surto. And bing, bada, boom, it's delicious. I paired it with a cream cheese on a piece of keto bread, like the nut bread. Yeah. And, oh, my God, it's like, oh. This is really good. So I made a dozen jars of that today, and I gave out a couple jars to people that live on my street. But I picked about 50 pounds with friends a couple days ago of figs with just down the road. Not at my place even. Mostly I give these ones away. People come here for like a tour and stuff, and they bring their kids and they want to try like food. So, and then, they take whatever they want, and then it doesn't. See, I have fig trees that the whole tree doesn't ripen at once. One's at the very top ripens, and then it comes down all the way to the bottom over a couple of month period.
Yeah.
And I just go ahead, Tammy.
I'm so jealous of your growing zone because we can't grow. I'm so far north, I can't grow figs.
You know what the thing is? No. There are new techniques. Some figs, if you cut them all the way off and bury them with leaves, the breva crop that comes out in the spring, that's right loaded with figs. And the desert kings like that. See, the problem is they can't take the cold too much, so they die back. But if you cut it off, cover it with leaves, then pull the leaves back about April, they all start growing up, and then you got a bunch of figs. Go on YouTube. I just watched guys do it in Israel. I got a buddy in Israel that it's called Figs in Israel. That guy's a genius growing figs, man.
That guy, I will go check it out. I have never ventured into figs because I figured I was.
Well, Chicago fig will grow where you are.
Well, I'm too far north. I'm really in zone 4.
Where are you?
I'm northern Michigan.
Well, that's fine. You just cut them off. Yeah. And you put them up against a house in the southern exposure with an overhang, and you cut them off and put dried brown maple leaves on it about 1.5 feet thick. And then that's every year you do that. You cut it off in the fall when the leaves fall off. It's getting cold, right? So you chop them right off, cover with leaves, and then in April 1st or April 15th, depending, you pull all the leaves back off, and here comes the fig growing again. There are ways. Check it out.
I'll look into it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of the things I want to address really quick.
Yeah, I know East Coast had vacuum trucks and stuff. Here in California, where I'm at right now, they don't. What they do is they have street sweepers, and they'll go around sweep everything. However, they're also sweeping up they're sweeping up the trash, the soda cans, the water bottles, and everything goes in, and they take it and dump. They don't separate it out because it's too expensive. They just take it and dump it in the landfill. So, but what my wife does though here, when all the trees start dropping, she'll go around. She goes out here in front. She starts raking everything down towards our house and the neighbors in the gutter and stuff. She rakes it down here, and she makes sure there's no trash in it, and then she uses that.
Yeah, making soil's best thing you'll ever do. It's all made in layers, and train people to bring it to you, and use your township. Go to your council meeting and tell them who you are and what you're doing. You're growing food, for sustainable food for future, for feeding the village. Then, people will be on your side. The more people that you integrate into your urban food forest, or where Gil is, he's got a good sized piece of land. The more people you get involved, the bigger and better you're going to be, and more secured. You'll be more secured. You'll get barter and trade a lot more. Meeting once a month at, say, like a Walmart parking lot once a month or once a week. Some people bring in their chickens, some people bring in their figs or apples, whatever. And if we all trade, then we all go home, because not everybody's got chickens. So not everybody has eggs. Not everybody has meat. But a mobile abattoir is a really good thing, because there's a lot of rules about butchering animals. And a mobile abattoir, like if you got 50 people or 20 people, I mean, everybody throwing down a G note, you got a mobile abattoir pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's called a cooperative, hey? Yeah. Goats are ruminants that will chew down all the brambles. Chickens will get in there and scratch it all up. Well, Jesus is pretty much ready to grow now. Saving your seeds. I recommend that everybody should have at least a few thousand radish seeds for putting nitrogen in the ground. Plus, it only takes 21 days. If there's nothing at the store, no fresh veggies, 21 days later, you got a nice radish growing. Hey, I'll take it. If you got to bug out, I mean, I want some radishes with some winter squash seeds. But Liberty Liberty Garden has a question: is how to keep a lemon tree alive in zone A or B. You need to put an enclosure over it, like plastic on poles, and then those Christmas lights. Those big ones that give off a little heat, cost about $3 a month. You put them around on the poles before you put the plastic on. And you just flip that on every night, or just leave it on 24/7. And that takes if you're in zone A, you leave that on for a couple of months. So it's going to cost you $10 to save all your lemon trees, eh? Bob Duncan, it's called Bob Duncan Growing Lemons in Canada. He's over on Wayne Road over here. That guy grows avocado. That grows everything. He uses thermal heat and all kinds of passive greenhouse, solar energy. Any way you want, any way you can, do it. Just remember, it's like an incubator for a newborn baby, if you're trying to grow in the northern hemisphere. A rocket stove and a hoop house, every single household should have. Every single household, because you're growing cucumbers and tomatoes all year round in the northern hemisphere, like where Tammy is. You can grow. There's people in northern Canada that are growing all year round, with Willopinas to, whatever your passion is. If you've got a lot of time on your hand, you can grow a lot of food, and that's saving your seed. The two prime seeds are radish for me, and my different squashes and melons. Those are the two prime ones for me. And then all the rest is just gravy if I can grow them. Any questions?
I have hundreds of questions, but I can't think of any of them right now.
You can cut and mulch it too.
I want to answer a question. I did some quick research. Liberty Gardens.
You could cut your lemon tree and mulch
for
it,
Liberty's lemon tree.
back.
He's an 8AB.
Yeah.
Well, we're at 9B here, and
You're
the
at
only thing we have
9B
to
in
worry
Idaho?
about is when we get freezes coming in.
You're at 9B?
And generally we just no, here in California.
Oh, California, yeah.
In California
Yeah,
here.
I'm missing something.
So in California at 9B, it's been a while since my wife's had to put the sheets out. She'll put sheets out over the citrus trees, the lemons, the orange trees, and the limes and stuff. But only when we're going to get really bad frost. And if she has to, we got Christmas lights, the little mini Christmas lights, put out on the tree, plug it in, put the sheets over it, and they do just fine. Yeah. So it depends on your freeze there, Liberty. What you got to do.
You can't go down past -12 with any citrus. You can't. It doesn't work. They say, oh, it's good till 20 below. That's bull. That's bull. I've done it. And I've had many kinds of citrus. And I'm telling you, the Satsuma orange is the one that can stay outside the longest in the cold and still survive. The second one is the Meyer lemon. And then the kumquat, it can, and calamondin is in there. But, to grow a few citrus in a container and bring it inside, that's where it's at. Same with fig. Bring them inside in a container, pop them back out. Or cut them off like Liberty Garden was asking about there. You cut off those figs, boom. You cut off those citrus, boom, and they'll grow back. It's because they freeze. And not all citrus are the same. For growing, and some require high phosphorus. Most do, and really good drainage. They really like sand and drainage soil, but they don't like leaves in the center of the tree. They like it cleaned out. They like the sun to come in. And when you plant your citrus, make sure the roots are 2 or 3 inches out of the soil so the air comes along, goes over the root system, and that builds immunity against fungus, like that black fungus that gets on them. That's what you want to do. Yeah, there's some rules, and the concept of observation is key. And ask friends, find the old people in your locale and do what they do. I seen like 30 years ago, this old lady, she's about 90 years old. She's dragging this garbage can out of the garage, and it's loaded with lemons. I stopped the van. I'm like, what? In Canada, lemons? Right away, I started planting lemon seed, I'll tell you. Hers was loaded.
Yeah, one of the things you have to be sure of when it comes to citrus is find out what the root stock is.
Well, yeah,
because some root stocks are for colder areas. Some root stocks are for warmer areas, and so you got to check when you buy. Don't just don't go into Home Depot or Lowe's and buy it. Go to a real nursery where they track that stuff and talk to the tree person.
A nurseryman can go through 50,000 fig seedlings before he finds one that he likes that he could sell. 50,000. Okay. Yeah. There's millions of types of figs. It's the same with citrus. When you open it up, you're not going to get the same citrus. The odd time, 1 in a million, you get the same one or a better one. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Like I've opened up the gene pool on many types of fruit. Okay. And only about 10% actually really worked and exceeded what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that, going back to something that was being mentioned earlier, if you got several people trying to get together and one of them has enough space in the yard and is willing to do it, bring in that load of wood chips, dump it there, and turn that area into the compost pile for the neighbors. That way they can work on one thing.
Everything. Cardboard everything.
And everybody can bring over their kitchen scraps and put it into that compost, that chip pile, and start turning it into it. One of the things that I found out, though, if you want to bring the worms in, once you get it started going, a little bit of ammonia dribbled around the outside of the pile brings the worms, and then they'll ammonia is compost smell, and they'll come to that, and it's like, oh, and then they start looking around, and then they smell the compost pile you got going, and they go into that. So that's one way to draw in the worms. It's like the movie Doom where they put the thumpers out. Well, ammonia is your thumper to draw in the worms.
You start putting in your pathway soil bank. That's what I do. I just bury everything, and what happens is it gives off CO2, and CO2 feeds the plant. Okay, so you're constantly like feeding your plant that way. And then rainwater, it has, a lot of nitrogen in it. Try to avoid using tap water unless it's sat for an hour, because the chlorine and fluoride in it will evaporate. Yeah. You'll see little yellow spots and then brown in the center coming on like tomato leaves or hemp plants. And it's tap water from the town, and it's loaded. It's not healthy, and it kills the microbes that are feeding your plants. Bad news. You're going to get a scrawny, spindly plant, or you just get a few tomatoes instead of a big pile, and it makes a difference when you have that rain barrel. Fill those rain barrels up and do hand watering. Get to know your plant, love your plant, hug your plant, talk to your plant, and if you can, marry your plant.
Now I would get in trouble.
Yeah, pee in the compost. Liberty Garden's right. Pee in the compost, man. All the worms show up.
Yeah,
because
the ammonia, and then of course, then your pee also has minerals you're peeing out, and other nutrients you pee out as well.
If you're going to use human urine, you just pee in a jug, a 4-liter jug, and then fill it with water. You don't want to put it on full strength.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Martha, old school prepper, she for the last several years she's been doing the.
I watched her.
The pea test, where she has the pea alone, the pea with wood ash, the Miracle Grow, the control plant, and something else, and it's like the pea with the wood ash does the best.
Yeah, well, she didn't really control it very well. Her hypotheses came out correct anyway.
Yeah,
but it wasn't a well-controlled experiment. Not that
last year's was a little bit better controlled than this year's was.
Yeah, she makes a joke of it too. It's kind of funny to watch.
Yeah. So anybody doesn't watch Martha at Old School Prepper, it's Old School Prepper. She's over in Washington.
Yeah, see, Kaylin, you just leave your water for an hour and it'll evaporate. The chlorine turns to a gas. Same with the fluoride, turns to a gas. And fluoride's used to one time it was used so you become sterile and you can't have kids. So, and then, chlorine.
They said it was good for your teeth.
Baking soda is good for your teeth.
Yeah.
Or a hemp branch, chew one end, and then throw it away. Don't use it again. You'll
love this. I saw a couple videos on this, so I went and ordered some off of Amazon, bamboo toothbrushes. Mm-hmm. And I actually like them. They feel good. They do, they're actually really good.
What kind?
Bamboo.
Yeah. I've had those. Yeah, they're delicious. They can come in mint and mango.
Well, these are just regular bamboo toothbrushes and stuff.
That's healthy for you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we're hitting the time. We've gone over the time mark here, but thank you, Howie, for coming up here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tammy. So coming up here off of my channel, coming up.
Hey, Tammy.
Yeah. All right, tomorrow on my other channel, Gray Man Prepping. The topic is dealing with youth in a difficult situation. On Monday with Tammy, and we should have Mark in here from Chef Tech, canning applesauce. And we're probably going to cover more than just applesauce, but we'll cover that type of stuff. And Tuesday on Gray Man Prepping is how will your garden survive SHTF/Tawaki event. So we're going to talk about that on Gray Man Prepping on Tuesday.
Ow.
Thursday night is the Midnight Ride. Friday night for next Friday is a year without a summer. How are you going to do? how's your garden going to do if you have a year without a summer? And it has happened numerous times in documented historical records. It's happened here in the United States. It's happened several years over in the old country, Europe. And so every now and then there are times where something happens, and a year where they don't get a real summer. They may get a cold spring most of the summer season, but they don't get a summer. All right, so that's what's coming up here. Tammy, still
Not this week.
Not this week. Okay.
Hopefully soon. School has started back up, but not this week.
Yeah. A year without summer in Texas would be great. And New Mexico and Arizona. Yeah. And of course, Glenn at How to Garden would say a year without a summer in Florida. Oh, we could grow a lot of food because it wouldn't die on the vine in the heat. But yeah, there are some areas would do great. Other areas would do not so great. So that's what we're going to be talking about next Friday here is a year without a summer. All right, folks. Thank you for sticking around for the longer time here. We always go late and have a great time when Howie's here. So much information that gentleman has. And if you're not subscribed to Howie, that's Food Forest Permaculture. In the chat there, just highlight his name, put it up above, and go subscribe to his channel. All right.
Go marathon watch his channel because there is so much information. If you have any interest in gardening or making a food forest or permaculture, he is just a wealth of information. You cannot.
Yeah. And he also does camouflage gardening too, where he plants stuff like the all root crops and stuff in an area. You can't tell. You just think it's a bunch of flowers and stuff growing out there. And he's got sunchokes, he's got carrots, he's got radishes, he's got potato, he's got all these root crops, and he does that too in areas as well.
And he also guerrilla gardens, where he plants in public land edible things for people. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he's sort of like Johnny Appleseed, only it's not just apples he's planting.
Oh yeah. No. And it's wonderful. He's just amazing.
Yeah. All right, everyone. So hopefully we'll see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern on Gray Man Prepping for dealing with youth in a difficult situation. All right, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.